Welcome to our presentation of the 2016 Duckpin TV Championships. Tonight we bring you the first of two semifinal matches in our handicap individual division. We're going to feature David Richardson, who's going to be taking on Mike Guaniero. This match is going to be a handicap match, and both bowlers will bowl 10 frames, one box at a time. Eric, these guys maybe the first time they've been on a, maybe for Mike the first time on a sort of a big stage, if you will. David has bowled several professional tournaments. What might you expect to see from these two guys?
Well, you got Mike, to your point, maybe the first time on camera, first time in the format, the tournament, head-to-head finals. Maybe there's going to be some nerves that he's going to have to deal with. David Richardson, man, he had quite a 10-game stretch there, including a 2-12 game. I think he just needs to be full steam ahead, and Mike is gonna help Mike to get started early and get the nerves out of the way.
Well, we had a chance to talk to both David and Mike before this match, and here's what they had to say.
It's a great weekend where, the best part is just being around people and being around just trying to keep the game alive. I had a 2-12 this weekend, which is my best game in 15 years, so had a good time, glad to come up here, long drive, but you know what, we do it again. So looking forward to a good little individual match.
Weekend was great. I had fun bowling my team. High for me, actually averaging higher than I usually average for a tournament. Other than that, it was a great time. I loved it. And coming up to this match, should be fun. We did bowl a 2-12 against our team, so a little redemption.
Thank those gentlemen for sharing their thoughts, and we're going to be back after this commercial with the exciting match, and I hope you stay with us and see you right after this. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the inaugural match here of the 2016 Duckpin TV Championships. This evening's event features a semifinal round in the handicap division. We have David Richardson going up against Mike Guaniero. David Richardson will be starting this evening's match on the right-hand lane. This is a pro format, so he will start first and finish last.
David's had quite a run over this tournament. Really steadily increased his average and kind of maintained it, but didn't start very low at the beginning after game one.
And I apologize. I am Patrick Ruffo, and I am joined tonight by the person you just heard, Mr. Eric Lateska, and also Mr. Jim Kaufman, and we will be bringing you as much of this exciting action. Obviously, what you see is the most important part, but we'll try to fill you in on some of the minor details that you may not pick up on if you're not completely familiar with the game of duckpin bowling.
Yeah, what you saw so far was David Richardson on off the head pin on the 2-pin. He cut for 2, followed up on the head pins. He's got 2 pins spread pretty far apart. He's going to look for a 9 on this one.
This is a handicap match. I believe it's a 14. Is it a 14 pin or 13? I believe it's 13 pins. No, I was right. 14.
Actually, I think it's 12 pins. 12 pins.
Right.
23 to 35. So
Correct.
12 pin differential. David's going to have to make up some ground.
This is your first look at Mike Guaniero.
Wow, Mike. Great ball.
And
Starts this match right.
well, if you're not familiar with the sport of duckpin bowling, that's the object.
Jim, what do you think here? In your position, so the higher seed gets the option to go first or defer. What would you pick?
I guess sometimes it depends on who you're bowling against. I think in a vacuum, I would elect to start and finish. Bowl the first frame in, bowl last in the 10th.
In this case, David Richardson, being the higher of the two seeds, had the option, and he did exactly that.
And then Mike Guaniero comes out, throws a bomb, and goes a little bit off the side for 7 there. But again, a makeable spare lead, and he is getting more than a hit's worth of handicap. So he's already extended his lead from 12 to almost 20, over 20
so far. Like a little twisted, crossed up on that third ball. Leaves the head pin. Nobody likes to leave the head pin standing after a frame, but he's in good shape after a couple of frames.
Got the butterflies out of the system.
That's right.
We started with a strike. That's always a good positive start. So.
We did see what looked like a little bit of nerves in his interview before the match.
It's the second consecutive rip through the, well, not through the middle, but he's been solid through the middle of the lane, and this time rips out 4 the hard way. This is a very difficult spare.
Jim, these two matched up earlier in the tournament, or at least their teams did. Do you want to tell the audience what happened in that match?
Sure, we alluded to it earlier, but Dave Richardson, like you said, he really wasn't in the conversation as far as the individual championships, and then busted out and had a huge 2-12 game, highest game of the tournament up to this point. It was against Mike Guaniero's team. So, and from that point, obviously Dave was now in the top 4 for scratching handicap and maintained it for the 2 seed in the handicap division.
Now that might not seem like a lot. That's a big 10 box right there for David, because he had 2 consecutive balls where his first ball left him some nasty looking leaves, and he cleaned it up, and now maybe keep the ball in the same general area, and you get a spare break and go from there.
I think some bowlers actually don't mind a pin like that in the early going. You hit your object pin 3 consecutive times. You put your opponent on notice that, hey, I'm on my mark.
I agree. Early on in the game, I think it's if that happens in the 9th or 10th, it's a little more difficult to overcome. But in the first and second frame, it's not that bad. Now that ball right there, just all you can say, it was a light head pin hit, and just absolutely no break out of it at all.
Yeah, this alley, Meadowbrook Lanes, Warwick, Rhode Island. We should mention that. Wonderful establishment here and a great host to this tournament. This house doesn't really respond to that type of a hit. You're going to have to be in the pocket a lot better than that to have something to shoot at on a regular basis.
During the course of the tournament, we're going to see a lot of good balls that result in good hits, and we're going to see some very balls that are just a hair off that are going to result in something just like you just saw.
I think it's important for Dave, though, to hold his wood, not leave as few pins as possible on the deck, because that's going to be his advantage against a lower average bowler. You figure the lower average bowler is going to leave more pins on the deck. So if Dave can have all 9s and 10s, mostly 10 boxes, when he doesn't get a spare or a strike, he's probably going to be able to pick up some easy pins that way.
Yeah, you got to assume if between the 2 bowlers, if there's one who's a little more nervous, it's probably the one with the lower average.
Right.
Feels a little bit more out of its element, not competing like this on a regular basis. And the last thing you want to do is make that bowler feel more comfortable by leaving a lot of foot on the deck.
Right. Keeping them in the game, giving them some added confidence that you didn't necessarily have to give them.
That being said, though, Mike, I've seen Mike bowl, and he's a very explosive bowler. Definitely can string them together. If David continues to leave this door open, Mike will have no problem, regardless of the nerves, walking through and taking advantage of that.
Looks like David is waiting.
Yeah, we have a ball return issue right here. I think that happens more often than not. When you only have 2 bowlers on a lane, I think that's going to happen more frequently. There's not enough balls going down to clear the pits.
Here it comes.
And again, you mentioned this segment would come to you from Meadowbrook Lanes in Warwick, Rhode Island. A lot of Rhode Island bowlers represented this tournament.
I would say well over 80% of the bowlers,
80% of the bowlers
were Rhode Islanders.
Nice to see.
We had a fine turnout and really a great weekend. I saw so many close games, and in the preliminary rounds, so we're presenting to you a individual head-to-head matchup, but the preliminary rounds actually consist of 10 games, all team team match play, and the bowlers individual score what qualified them for
Exactly
for the finals.
what you're watching right now. These bowlers that we're watching were all members of four-man teams, and their individual efforts, their individual scores got them to this point where they are now bowling for individual prizes. This happens to be the handicap division, but there's going to be a scratch division followed by the actual team events. For all four members of the team will be represented.
This is the first of many matches, and what's sure to be many exciting matches. You know, we got Mike up there for a really great first ball. It was heavy on the head pin, and then I bowled with Mike a fair amount over the years. Something to look out for. When he's planting his sliding foot, he's really on balance. He throws the ball. We saw a lot of that out of him this weekend. And he looked really good that ball. I think the results show it. Oh.
Yeah, you got well, it went from a really bad break to almost a great break, but he did break up the 9-10, and now he has a single to shoot at.
Let's see if he can convert.
It's a big mark for Mike right here. Hone in on a one-pinner. That's a that's a confidence booster for him right there. He has himself a 22-pin lead.
Yeah, throws out a couple of high fives before he takes a seat.
See if David can respond here to Mike's spare.
Watching Mike's body language, I just see him settling in every time he throws. He gets a ball.
And another, unfortunately, with automatic scorekeepers, you're reminded constantly of the splits because they come up as a red dot. More often than not, the red dot is a good ball with a bad result.
Right, and you got 4 consecutive head pin hits out of David here. Heavy and then light. Heavy and light, not really in the pocket.
And
not getting any breaks, though.
Even though the first box doesn't have a red dot in it, it was a 2-pin chop off the side of the head pin, so not exactly what they consider a split, but it's not a very easily makeable spare. This is not a now or never box for David because he can string them, obviously, if he throws a 212. But he's 4 boxes in. He's in his 5th box. He's down 20+. He's probably got to do something right now to start to make a comeback right here.
Yeah, I think he would love to take his seat with a markup on the board.
And unfortunately, he's going to get another red dot.
It's basically the opposite of what we would have expected score-wise between the two bowlers, I would think.
Yeah,
David a little more experienced, a little bit better bowler, maybe coming out with a couple of marks, and Mike dealing with some butterflies, but it seems to be quite the opposite.
And unfortunately for David, his second ball has been cutting through just as hard as his first balls. The good thing about David's situation is he still has 5 boxes left. At this time, we're going to take a short commercial break. We'll be back with more exciting action right after this.
Must be a strike.
John Gorman, do or die here.
It's not.
Hold all tickets, folks. Well, you won't see a stranger one than that. And let's take a look.
Anybody going down the ramps will turn around and come back now, won't they, Mike? That's a live ball.
Hope you enjoyed that. We're back now to join in on the live action. We have Mike Guaniero on a mark with a substantial lead in the 5th frame.
He's filling a spare there and kind of goes to waste, unfortunately, off the side. He's got 49 scratch.
But a 25-pin lead. he got away with that ball. I mean, it was well off the side, but I think he'll be happy to take 9 and hopefully pick up this headpin for 10 and move on to the 6th frame.
I don't know if the camera does Mike any justice, but he's a big boy, and what he just did was sent a pin flying up. Sherman pin setter, sweep couldn't reach it. Had to take a moment here.
Brought that pin back toward us.
Almost got a piece of pat here.
So, that's a big 10 box. We're talking about holding pins, and Mike's been holding his pins, and unfortunately David's been leaving himself some shots where he's been unable to hold the 10 boxes. So even though Mike didn't mark there, he's still gaining.
Yeah, for 5 frames. David has 27 pins to make up. He's got a lot of work to do. That doesn't require doubles yet.
No, but
strings of strikes, but it does require marks.
This isn't a 3-game match. This is 10 boxes and you're done. So at this point, David's got to start looking at the situation as almost a must-mark situation every box.
Mike looking a lot more comfortable shooting the right side of the lane right now
Yeah,
than the left.
Mike is enjoying lane 6. I'm sorry, lane 4. My bad.
There's the ball.
First really solid pocket hit for David.
He heard the cheer from the crowd.
Yeah,
there.
it was like almost like a sigh of relief, but loud.
Yeah.
I think they're all wearing orange too. That roared on that first ball.
He's representing the Southern bowlers.
Maryland teammates there.
Correct.
David, one of a couple teams. Oh, there's the mark. Desperately needed to get his game started.
No, right on time. I mean, he had to have something. Mike just threw a mark at him in his 6 box. David had really no choice there but to match it.
So David, one of the bowlers from a couple of the teams that joined us for the tournament from down south. Jim, I don't recall. Were there 2 or 3 teams that came from the south?
We had 2 full teams.
Teams.
Richardson's team, and then the team of Joey, Diane Sears, and Eddie and Phil Dix, and then Johnny Wilson.
Oh, little
Wow.
splash down there for David.
Johnny Wilson joined on with some northern bowlers to form a team. So I think we had a total of 9 southern bowlers.
So
Very excited to have them up here for this.
this is the first time that Mike's stepped on the lane with a little bit of pressure on him. I mean, he's got a lead, but David's starting to put a couple marks together. Mike will take that 8 and be very happy.
That's right. He used the walls pretty effectively there. Let's see how careful and deliberate he's being in his approach. Not his approach, his balance off.
That's
I think it's paying off for him, but that ball was pretty far up the mark. He's going to have to do that.
Again, this is a situation where Mike's not happy with the second shot, but this is very important to pick up these pins. He has the lead. Every pin he makes is very, very important.
And
Huge
he
10.
He
Huge
was
10.
listening. He was listening. That was a great ball.
big ball coming up for David working on the strike. Well, actually, we have to wait for Mike's frame here, but the next ball David throws will be very important. If he can put a double together, right back in the game.
Great comeback ball there from Mike. It's on the right side of the lane, where he has been comfortable so far. Continues to be. This may be a potential moment of the match right here. David Richardson, with a lot of pressure on him now that Mike has put the mark on the board, is filling a strike. He's got to put this ball on the headpin.
So this is a critical shot for David. He throws the ball right in the pocket and almost just barely misses catching a double on that ball.
Almost the gutter belt double.
It was very close.
Not to be, so he'll have to earn this mark.
confidence must be building at this point. There's 3 consecutive balls in the pocket.
Yeah, it's going to become a matter of, is it going to be too little too late? Because Mike answered in the 8th box. That was a big, big spare for Mike.
Oh no,
And just as big of a miss for David.
David kind of carried his weight off due to this little extra dip in his approach and in his delivery that I think threw him off.
So at this point, Mike is looking very, very comfortable. He has a 17 pin plus a load lead with just 2 boxes left. We are now looking at Mike basically without a double from David. He can 10 out and hang on to this game.
Just needs a good first ball. Oh my goodness.
He's going to have to earn his marks. That 10 pin is not falling over easily for him right now. So redemption frame.
Well, this is a must. This is a must make for David.
And he converts.
Rebounds from missing at the last frame. That one looked pretty good.
At this point, however, Mike can close him out. The next time David steps on the lane, he might not have any control over the outcome.
Yeah, we're going to see Mike wrap his game up here, 9th and 10th frame. This is a big ball. I think Mike looked about as comfortable as he has looked in this match on that one ball right there.
Well, I mean, he may be a 115 bowler, but he's done it long enough to know if he throws a big load there, it just closes. This is a closeout right here. That's minimal load here shuts this game out.
Mike throws a flashy ball on that second one, translucent.
It's a Patriots ball, by the way. It's probably an overinflated or something. Or underinflated.
It must be
It's
underinflated,
a little
that ball.
underinflated. I am a math teacher, and I can tell you that ball right there just about cinched this match. The best David can do right now is 142, and Mike is already beyond that with his handicap. So this match is in fact over. Gives him a 1 without making another shot. He's got 132. He's getting 12 pins. That's a 144. The match is
over by a couple
over.
of pins. David is getting 23 pins of handicap, but Mike Guaniero has shut him out by 3 pins.
So Mike Guaniero, we're going to see him next week. And I'm sorry, no, we're not going to see him next week. We're going to see him in 2 weeks.
2 weeks, that's correct.
We have to get to the Mark Parker.
We have to find out who his opponent is.
Mark Parker and Josh Lowe. We're going to see them next week.
Our first seed and our 4th seed, respectively.
Interesting enough, Mark Parker qualified both scratch and handicap.
Yes.
But in our format, his handicap positioning was more favorable, so he's going to hold that position.
Right, yes.
Well, I think what impressed me most about Mike last few frames of the game when he could have folded, didn't seem to be very shocked or overwhelmed by the moment. Very aggressively throwing balls. There's no no timid shots or
so they
he did
have
miss a
it.
break or two, but bowled well at the end.
Yeah, and Mike did his job. He came out of the gate with a bomb, set the tone early, and unfortunately David just splitting early could not overcome that. So we're going to go to a commercial right now and come back and give you a wrap-up of tonight's semifinal match from the 2016 Duckpin TV Championships. Welcome back to Duckpin TV's coverage of the 2016 Duckpin TV Championships. We have just concluded our first semifinal match of the handicap individual tournament, and we had Mike Guaniero defeating David Richardson in an exciting match. We'd like to take this opportunity to introduce Jim Kaufman, our expert analyst, with the moment of the match.
Yeah, I'd say there's probably a couple of moments in this match, and the first one's probably the first ball thrown. Like Guaniero throws a strike in the first frame. Any butterflies, nervousness he might have had, I'm sure was quickly alleviated by throwing the strike and getting comfortable. And then the second moment, in the 8th frame, the game was still close. David Richardson left a 10-pin after leaving a lot of splits earlier in the game. Didn't convert it, and that ended up being the beginning and the end for David. So I think those were the two moments in the match.
Yeah, so Will follow that up a couple of marks, perhaps maybe got more comfortable with the yoke from Richardson. It was an important moment.
Well, we had a chance to have a word with the winner of the match, Mr. Mike Guaniero, and here's what he had to say.
Came out strong, strike. A little nervous at first, realizing that I'm going to be on TV. But after that, settled down. It was good. Dave came back a little bit, but I held my own to the end. Got the victory.
Next week's match is going to feature Josh Lowell and Mark Parker, our _1 seed in the handicap division. Don't forget to like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and please share this video with all your friends. Thank you again.